You chase happiness, an endless pursuit. You hope to find it around every corner. But what if the very thing you're chasing is just a mirage? What if what you call true happiness is, as Arthur Schopenhauer brutally exposed, the greatest illusion of your life? Be prepared, because this video will shake everything you thought you knew about happiness and perhaps show you what you truly should be seeking instead. Be positive, they say. Choose happiness. Your social media feeds are filled with fake smiles, with perfect lives, and you strive to attain that life. A new job, a new relationship, a new possession. You believe each one will bring you that lasting happiness you crave. But what happens every time? A brief thrill, then that familiar emptiness, that dissatisfaction. Aren't you tired of this never-ending chase? Haven't you started to realize that each new source of happiness is actually just a temporary drug? Aren't you weary of constantly focusing on the next goal, ignoring the pain or monotony of the present moment? This is the tragedy of modern humanity, missing life itself while chasing an unattainable ideal. And the roots of this illusion, as Schopenhauer pointed out, lie in the deepest recesses of human nature. Arthur Schopenhauer was one of history's most pessimistic, yet perhaps most honest, philosophers. His fundamental argument was this: at the core of life lies a blind, unconscious, and insatiable will. This will is the drive for survival and reproduction, and it constantly manifests itself in new desires and cravings. According to Schopenhauer, what we call happiness is usually nothing more than the temporary satisfaction of one of these desires of the will. You attain something, you feel satisfied for a short while, but the will immediately produces a new desire. Therefore, happiness cannot be lasting. It's just a brief pause until the next moment of dissatisfaction. Schopenhauer illustrates this with the metaphor of a beggar who receives alms today and lives, but tomorrow will be hungry again. How does this illusion of happiness manifest in our lives? Goal-oriented living. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I buy that car. You experience a brief pleasure when you reach the goal, but then the will sets a new goal, and the cycle of unhappiness restarts. Dependency on external validation. A pursuit of happiness built on the approval, appreciation, or love of others. However, this is a fragile happiness where control is entirely in the hands of others. When approval ceases, happiness evaporates. The pursuit of pleasure, constantly seeking new experiences, new excitements. But according to Schopenhauer, pleasures are also temporary and, in excess, lead to pain or boredom. Chasing pleasure is often an escape from the pain or emptiness of the moment. The shadow of boredom, that deep boredom that arises when desires are satisfied, or when there's nothing to chase. For Schopenhauer, boredom is a state where the will is temporarily silenced, but the meaninglessness of life makes itself felt. This, too, is a form of suffering. Schopenhauer says that life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom. We suffer while pursuing a desire, deprivation. When we attain the desire, we experience brief satisfaction, but this immediately leads to boredom or a new desire. Here is Schopenhauer's most brutal truth for us. If the primary goal of your life is to be constantly happy, you will inevitably and constantly suffer, because human nature and the structure of the world do not allow for permanent, uninterrupted happiness. Does this mean you should despair? No. It means you need to change your perspective. It means you need to realize you've been searching for happiness in the wrong place. Constantly chasing positive emotions is, in fact, a denial of the other inevitable half of life: pain, difficulty, loss, and everything you deny grows in the shadow, controlling you even more. Optimism, Schopenhauer says, is not only a cruel but also a truly wicked way of thinking, as it is a bitter mockery of the unmeasurable sufferings of humanity. This isn't about being pessimistic, it's about being realistic, and this realism can protect us from the disappointments created by false hopes. So, if happiness is an illusion, what should we pursue? While Schopenhauer states that completely eliminating suffering is impossible, he offers ways to reduce it and to live a more bearable, even meaningful life. 1. Recognize and deny the will as much as possible. The first step is to become aware of that insatiable desire mechanism within us. Influenced by Buddhist philosophy, Schopenhauer suggests that detaching ourselves as much as possible from desires and passions is a way to escape the slavery of the will. This might mean a simpler life, fewer expectations. How aware are you of the constant stream of desires your mind produces, and have you ever experimented with consciously letting go of some of them? What happened? 2. Accept suffering and cultivate compassion. Accepting the painful nature of life, ceasing to resist it, can ironically reduce suffering. Seeing that others also endure the same suffering can help us develop a sense of universal compassion. This shared human condition can be a source of connection, not despair. When you truly accept that pain is a part of life, does it change how you experience it? Does knowing others suffer too bring any sense of solace or connection? 3. Art and aesthetic experience. For Schopenhauer, art offers a temporary escape from the blind cycle of the will. When listening to a piece of music, looking at a painting, or watching a tragedy, we transcend our individual desires and reach a state of pure contemplation. This is a momentary peace, an instant of freedom from the will. What forms of art or beauty allow you to temporarily forget your worries and desires, offering you a glimpse of this selfless contemplation? How do you feel afterwards? 4. Intellectual contemplation and philosophy. Engaging our minds with knowledge and philosophical thought can lift us out of the narrow circle of our individual sorrows and lead us to contemplate universal truths. It provides a broader perspective on our own transient struggles. Does learning about the world and the human condition through philosophy or science ever give you a sense of perspective on your own problems, perhaps making them feel less overwhelming? 5. Aim for inner tranquility ataraxia. Instead of an active, exuberant happiness, seeking an inner calmness and tranquility, similar to the Stoic concept of ataraxia, that can remain steady amid storms and is less affected by external events, might be a more realistic goal. This involves lowering expectations and accepting what the moment brings with greater equanimity. What small practices could you incorporate into your life to cultivate more inner peace, rather than chasing fleeting highs of happiness? 6. Minimalism and reducing needs. The fewer things we need, the fewer desires the will has to satisfy, and consequently, the less disappointment we will experience. This isn't about deprivation, but about conscious simplification. Have you ever felt a sense of relief or freedom by decluttering your life, whether physically or by reducing your commitments and desires? What was that like? Schopenhauer's philosophy may seem pessimistic at first glance, but it actually carries profound wisdom and the potential for liberation. When you relinquish the illusion of constant happiness, a great burden lifts from your shoulders. You no longer have to chase an unattainable ideal. Instead, you can meet life's inevitable challenges with greater fortitude, appreciate the value of small, realistic moments of peace more deeply, and perhaps most importantly, develop a deeper empathy for the suffering of others. When happiness ceases to be the goal, perhaps true meaning and inner peace find a place to reside. This inner exploration is just the beginning. There are countless more truths awaiting you in the chaotic depths of your soul. Do you also think happiness is a constant chase, or does it have a deeper meaning? What do you think about Schopenhauer's brutal but honest perspective? Share your own experiences and your understanding of happiness in the comments. We can guide each other in these deep inquiries. If you enjoyed this philosophical dive and want to continue pushing the boundaries of your mind, don't forget to subscribe to Chaotic Depths and like this video, because sometimes the paths that seem darkest lead to the most illuminating truths.